South Park. Whether you love it or hate it, you can't deny that it is a very controversial franchise. Created by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, it is a series about a group of 4 boys named Cartman, Kyle, Ken and Kenny getting up to mischief in the quiet little mountain town that is South Park, Colorado. It has a unique style both in terms of writing and animation. There's no other show quite like it ever since it started back in 1997. To the point where if I asked you to think of the most messed up thing, chances are it was already done in an episode of the show. Nothing in this show is off limits, and that's why the show is beloved by millions of people. My first exposure to the series came when I was just a wee little lad. I remember stumbling across the show on Comedy Central by accident one night when scrolling through the channels. It was season 6 episode 9, Free Hat, and it showed the scene where it parodied Indiana Jones where everyone's face melts off. That terrified me more than when I saw naked Voldemort getting out of the bath. That part of me put off watching South Park for years. It wasn't until I borrowed a copy of The Stick of Truth from my friend back in 2015 when I started getting into the series. I bought the sequel game, The Fractured Butthole, and loved it. I watched every episode from season 1 to season 23 and loved them all. I even have a poster that has most of the main characters from the show. There is a bit of a problem with it, however, and that's kind of right here, just below Butter's eye. There's a tear. You know, poor lad. You know, it must have been a botched plastic surgery attempt at Tom rhinoplasty. Also, I just realised that in my Simpsons video I was wearing a South Park t-shirt. So since this is a video on South Park, I'm going to do a video in a Simpsons t-shirt because irony, I suppose. By the time I finished season 23 in 2019, I started to suffer from South Park fatigue. I haven't watched any episode beyond season 23 as I moved on from the series. Every now and then I flick through an episode. However, I wouldn't consider myself a die-hard fan like how I was back in 2015-2016. One day, I was sitting at home, eating some food, enjoying life, and it suddenly hit me. I forgot to put the bins out. So I put the bins out, sat back down, and it dawned on me. A South Park movie exists. And I've never seen it before. Yeah, for some reason, for someone who adored the series, I've never actually seen the movie until a few years ago. Does it live up to the hype? Yes. Yes. Just warning you all that there is so much naughty stuff said and shown throughout the film. So I'm gonna have to censor a lot of that stuff. And if this video ends up becoming more pixelated than a Minecraft skin, then I'm sorry, but don't blame me. South Park, Bigger, Longer and Uncut, released in 1999. The film is about the boys going to see the Canadian duo Terrence and Phillip's new movie, Asses of Fire. It is so revolting and vulgar that all the adults in the cinema walked out, but the kids enjoyed it. Eventually, almost every child in the town has seen it, and this leaves their parents worried, since the kids won't stop swearing because of the movie. To combat this, the kids are forced to attend an elocution lesson from Mr. Mackey. Okay. On an unrelated note, I really love this scene in the show where Craig is talking to Mr. Mackey, and while he's talking, Craig flips him off and he suddenly stops talking and berates Craig.
You're gonna be held back a grade if you don't Did you just flip me off?
No.
Yes, you did. You just flipped me the bird.
It's my favourite moment from the show. Mr. Mackey is my favourite adult character in the show, and it's moments like that are the reasons why I like him. Anyway, back to the movie. The elocution appears to have worked, and the kids can go back to their lives. Just kidding, they instead see Asses of Fire again. Kenny sets himself on fire and dies because he was trying to mimic what was happening in the movie. Upon hearing this, Sheila, Kyle's mom, sets up the Mothers Against Canada movement along with other concerned parents. They arrest Terrence and Phillip and are labelled as war criminals because of their crude humour. After the US government refused to hand them back, the Canadians retaliated by bombing the Baldwins. As a result, the US declare war on Canada and plans to execute Terrence and Phillip during a USO show. After Sheila hears Cartman call her a bitch, she decides to insert a V-chip inside of him. It electrocutes him every time he swears. While this is happening, Kenny is in hell, and it's there where we see Satan with Saddam Hussein. One of these people is the Lord Prince of Darkness and the most evil person to ever exist. And the other is Satan. Satan talks about how the apocalypse is near and he will take over the world. It will happen when the blood of Terrence and Phillip spill on American soil. But Saddam only cares about having sex with Satan, sexually abusing him every chance he gets. Kenny actually tries to console Satan, telling him to leave Saddam, but to no avail. Kenny returns to Earth in spirit form to warn Cartman of what's to come. The gang sets up a resistance group called La Resistance.
I am French.
They gather all the kids in town and come up with a plan to rescue Terrence and Phillip. On the day of the execution, they dig their way into the camp where Terrence and Phillip are, thanks to Christophe, aka the Mole.
You must shut off the alarms. I f***ing hate guard dogs. I heard you the first time, you British piece of shit.
I'm sick of your double talk. We have rights.
Cartman was about to shut off the alarm, but upon seeing Kenny again, he gets frightened and runs away. As a result, Mole gets caught while untying Terrence and Phillip and gets mauled to death by dogs. The boys try to warn everyone about the coming of Satan, but they don't listen and persist with the execution. However, the Canadian Army launched a surprise attack, interrupting the execution, and battle commences between the two armies. Cartman shuts off the switch, allowing the duo to escape, but he electrocutes himself in the process, and it caused his V-chip to malfunction. Upon realizing the horror they've just witnessed, everyone in the Mothers Against Canada movement leaves in search of their children. Everyone except for Sheila, who remains committed to the cause. She shoots both Terrence and Phillip dead, resulting in Satan and Saddam appearing on Earth. Upon seeing Satan, Sheila is like,
What have I done?
Saddam makes fun of Cartman. This makes Cartman mad enough that he shoots electricity at Saddam through the power of swearing. Satan has had enough of Saddam and throws him back into hell. Satan offers Kenny one wish as a sign of gratitude for Kenny's support. He wishes that everything went back to normal before the war happened, but this means that he will remain dead. He says goodbye to his friends before he goes.
I'm thankful.
South Park is restored. Terrence and Phillip are resurrected, and Kyle and Sheila make up. After committing to his sacrifice, Kenny is allowed entry into heaven. The end. The story of the movie is just so great. It feels like a long episode from the show. Then again, you could say that about most, if not all, movies based on TV shows. I like how everything the whole movie was built towards all started because of something as minor as children hearing a few naughty words in a movie that was not meant for them. All the events in this movie wouldn't have happened if the parents just blamed their children instead of a group of people, and that makes it feel like a South Park experience. There's something I should have mentioned earlier. This movie is a musical. Believe it or not, this is actually a musical.
Well, don't do it, Cartman. Well, I'm warning you. Okay.
I'm not going to play any...
Shut up.
I'm not going to play any of the songs because of copyright, so I encourage you all to listen to all the songs whenever you get the chance, because they are amazing. And this is coming from someone who isn't a fan of musicals in general. Almost every single song in this movie is brilliant, and I was surprised to find out the album came out the same day I was born, 22nd of June 1999. Man, what a coincidence. My favourite ones are It's Easy MK and Kyle's Mom's a Bitch. The lyrics are so iconic and the backing music is also very good. In fact, the soundtrack is so good that it got nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song, which was Blame Canada, but lost to You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan. There is one song called What Would Brian Boitano Do? And my reaction to that is, who is Brian Boitano? Turns out he is an American figure skater. Good for him. I knew he could do it. I guess you could say he is a cool guy. Am I right? Get it? Because, cold, ice, cold, cool. Please laugh. As far as the animation is concerned, it's what you'd expect from South Park. It uses cutouts with some CGI used for some of the bigger effects. You can tell when comparing it to any episode that came out at the time, they got a bigger budget, and that allows the animators to become a lot more ambitious visually. But then you compare the movie to an episode from modern South Park, all the CGI feels dated and out of place. Just like Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, which also came out in 1999. Man, what a coincidence. It's still impressive for the time, and they don't take me out of the film at all. In fact, I think it enhances the experience because South Park, at least with the earlier episodes, visually have always been crude and rough in the animation department, so I don't mind one bit. The newer episodes look better, but classic South Park looks more natural because it matches with the foul humour and tone the show's going for, and that's why I like the movie's animation a lot, because it has that middle ground between looking terrible yet pleasing to look at.
Well, your moms are just upset. They're probably all on their periods or something.
This is a very funny film, and that's thanks to its great writing. There's a lot of swearing, nudity and toilet humour. It never ends. But that's not what this show is all about. What I find really bizarre is that Satan, out of all people, doesn't swear and is probably the nicest guy in the entire movie. I can't believe I just said that. This line made me laugh more than it had any right to.
Feel free to come back and visit us anytime you want, Satan.
All the characters behave exactly like they do in the show. Cartman is an entitled brat, Kyle is smart, Stan is cynical, and Kenny... Well, it's impossible to understand him when he speaks, but you can tell he's got a bad case of the horn.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble.
I think every one of them is really good. If I had to pick which one is my favourite, it would be Stan. The arc he goes through is probably the best in this movie. Whenever he sees his crush Wendy, he gets butterflies in his tummy, which turns into puke and he sprays it on Wendy. She hangs out with the transfer student Gregory, which makes Stan jealous. He asks for advice from Chef on how to win over Wendy, and he says to find the clitoris. Stan doesn't know what that is, and for most of the movie he keeps looking for something he doesn't understand. He eventually finds it during the final battle, and it tells him information he didn't ask for. But it does eventually tell him to be confident around Wendy if he wants her. He does so, and leads the kids into the fight, something he originally shied away from when Gregory was around. And it's great to see Stan and Wendy get together by the end. It's sweet. Sheila is like that one overprotective, entitled mother who likes to blame everyone but herself for the way her children are being raised. And I say that because it's true. The fact she was willing to kill people to prove a point shows that. She had to learn the hard way when it comes to taking responsibility for what type of entertainment her sons consume. Terrence and Philip embody everything real-life parents think South Park is. Just a bunch of swearing, farting, and offensive jokes. This type of meta commentary is what you'd expect from the show. They're funny, okay? End of story. Bye-bye. See you later. That's all I could really say about this movie. It's just great, and to me, the best movie based on a TV show. On a budget of $21 million, it grossed around $83 million. It ended up being the highest grossing R-rated animated movie of all time until 2016, losing its top spot to Sausage Party. Why, Seth Rogen? Why? Here's a PSA for everyone watching this video. If you've never seen Sausage Party before, then don't watch it. Please. I beg you. Do not watch it! Unless you like torturing yourself, you should go out of your way to avoid this. And thank you, Demon Slayer Mugen Train movie, for overtaking Sausage Party at top spot. I salute you. Bigger, Longer and Uncut was a massive success, but a sequel never came to pass. Back in 2007, Parker and Stone considered turning Imagination Land into a movie, but was denied because of a demanding production schedule, so it became a 3-part episode instead. Will we ever get a sequel? I don't think it will happen. One reason might be because both Warner Brothers and Paramount have a complicated rights situation going on when it comes to South Park, and due to this, plans for any future movie remains up in the air. At least we still have this timeless gem to go back to. So if you like South Park, and for whatever reason you've not seen this movie before, then go check it out. You know what? I just realised something. I just reviewed a movie that has a ton of swearing in it, yet I didn't swear at all throughout this entire video. Nice job, me. So I'm just gonna sit back, relax, and have a nice cup of tea in hand. Fuck!